Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am so honored to have so many honorable colleagues join us in the House today. As you know, I haven't taken the floor in some time, and I'm going to ask you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues on all sides of the aisle for some indulgence today. I have every intention of speaking to the substantive motion before us, but before I do that, I have some matters of a personal nature that I have felt in my heart for some time I need to get out, and I'm going to simply say them if the House will grant me that dispensation. Let me first take the opportunity to introduce, and whom I have the pleasure of having in Ottawa today, some of the most important people in my life, Mr. Speaker. And that is my parents, Sandra and Anthony Chan. My brother, Dr. Kevin Chan. And of course, my beloved wife, Jean Yip. Unfortunately, our three children, Nathaniel, Ethan, and Theodore, could not join us. The older two are currently in examinations. Although Jean and I will be very pleased to welcome our youngest child, Theo, on Wednesday when he comes down to Ottawa for his graduating field trip. So we're very much looking forward to that. Colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to simply reference my colleagues to say that, first and foremost, it is a tremendous honor serving as the member of Scarborough Aging Court. And I know that all of us treasure the privilege that we have serving in this particular place. I am so grateful to my constituents of Scarborough Aging Court for having given me a mandate twice to already come and serve this wonderful place. And while it is a very proud thing to serve as Member of Parliament, I simply wanted to say this. There's only one thing that makes me more proud, and that is to simply let my parents know my greater pride is reserved for being, first and foremost, their son. For being your brother, Kevin, and most importantly, to my beloved wife, for being there every step of the way. I simply could not ask for a better partner in life. As I mentioned, one of the, difficult things that often confront those of us, it's not unique to Canadians, but obviously it is a challenge for those of us who serve in public office, is the sacrifices that are made to our families. And I simply want to, if I have any failings to my children, or where I've missed some of their important milestones, recently I missed Ethan's jazz concert at his school in order to perform our function here in the House of Commons. Forgive us, but I will explain why there are more important reasons of why we do what we do. And I would say that the most important people in my life have taught me three important lessons, Mr. Speaker. And they are as follows. It's the concepts of dedication, duty, and devotion. On the issues of dedication, I'd have to say that my parents imbued that very much at a very early age to both my brother and I, my younger brother and I, in terms of going and doing your best. I have to say, and I would acknowledge, that I am one that has perhaps not achieved the same standard that my younger brother has achieved in terms of dedication. Dad has often reminded me, Mr. Speaker, that I often relied far too much on my talent and not enough on hard and diligent work, but I would like to think that that was an important lesson that was imbued on both of us. On the second point of duty, and again the point I want to make here is that it was not necessarily done by way of word. It was done by way of practice, by way of the daily way in which my parents lived their lives. And duty, of course, was paramount for them. And I hope that Kevin and I have discharged our duty. I, of course, have the privilege of serving as a public office holder. My brother does it in a different way, as a pediatrician, as a physician, as one who has traveled this planet to serve the least fortunate children in this world. And I am very proud of the accomplishments that you have made so far and the continuing accomplishments that you will do in the future on behalf of our most vulnerable children around the world. And finally, you also taught us devotion. But I also had another very important teacher in that, and that is my wife, Jean. Many of you, of course, know I've been going through this challenge with my health for the last number of years. I simply could not have asked for a more devoted partner in life as I have walked through this journey. And all I have to say, if I could steal a line from a former Prime Minister of ours, the Right Honorable Jean Chrétien, in referencing his partner, Aline, Jean, without you, nothing, nothing. So, I wanted to get back to, I think, a more fundamental issue, one that has been raised a number of substantive times in this House, and that is how we compart ourselves. And I'm not sure how many more times I will have the strength to get up and do a 20-minute speech in this place, but the point I want to impart upon all of us, I know that we are all honorable members. I know you revere this place. I would beg us to not only act as honorable members, but to treat this institution honorably. And to that extent, I want to make a shout out to our colleague from Saanich Gulf Islands, a parliamentarian that, despite the fact that we are not in the same party, despite the fact that we may disagree on some substantive issues quite vehemently, I consider this particular member to be a giant. Not simply because that she exhorts us to follow Standing Order 18, but more importantly, I've observed in her practice, Mr. Speaker, that she reveres this place. She is dedicated to her constituents. She practices, both here and in committee, the highest standard of practice that any parliamentarian could ask for, despite strongly disagreeing perhaps with the position of the government of the day. She does so in a respectful tone. And I would ask all of us to elevate our debate, to elevate our practice to that standard. We must. It is only through that practice that I believe that she so eloquently demonstrates that Canadians will have confidence in this democratic institution that we all hold so dear. It's important that we do that. The other thing I wanted to speak broadly to my other colleagues is the practice of ditching what I call the canned talking points. I'm not perfect. I know that sometimes it takes some practice. There are instances where it is necessary for us to have the guidance and assistance of our staff and of the ministries and of our opposition research. But I don't think it gives Canadians confidence in our debate in this place when we formalitically repeat those debating points. I think it's more important that we bring our experience, that we bring the experience of our constituents here and impose it on this question of the day, and to ask ourselves, how do we get better legislation? How do we make better laws? We can disagree strongly. In fact, we should. That is what democracy is about. But don't talk to just formalistic talking points. It doesn't elevate this place. It does not give Canadians confidence in what democracy truly means. And so the other thing I would simply ask all of you, ask all of our colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to consider, while we debate and engage, what we're doing right now, when we listen to one another, despite our strong differences. That's when democracy really happens. That's the challenge that's going on around the world right now. No one's listening. Everyone's just talking at one another. We have to listen to each other. And in so doing, we make this place a stronger place. I have some comments that I want to speak broadly to Canadians before I get to the substantive issue that was introduced in the main motion by our friend from Sucker Interlake Eastman. I know that sometimes we may find, and we're about to enter question period, and I have to be honest, I'm one that's beginning to find it challenging to watch. Maybe it's because I'm on the government side. I certainly participated with some glee at times on the opposition side, but I recognize that, and maybe my perspective has changed now that I have had a change of position in this place in the House, although I don't face the daily barrage, unlike members of the government. But I believe strongly that despite what we see in this place, what gives us strength is the fact that we can actually do it, that we can actually engage in this process without fundamental rancor, without fundamental disagreement, without violence. That's the difference. And that's why I so love this place. It's because we can do that. And I would ask Canadians to give heart to their democracy, that they treasure it, revere it. Of course, I would ask them in the most basic of things to cast their ballot. But for me, it's much more than that. I ask them for their civic engagement, regardless of what it actually may mean. Whether it's going out and coaching a soccer team, whether it's helping someone at a food bank. But for me, it can be even something simpler than that. I know many are challenged with their time. It's the basic common civility that we share with each other to me that is most fundamental. It's thanking your Tim Hortons server. It's giving way to someone on the road. It's saying thank you. It's the small things that we collectively do, from my perspective, that make a great society. And fundamentally, to me, that is ultimately what it means to be a Canadian. We are so privileged to live in this country because we have these small acts of common decency and civility that make us what we are. And I would ask you to carry on that tradition, because ultimately that is the foundation of what makes Canada great. So I would simply say this. If I may quote actually the Constitution, in some ways, from my perspective, it imbues peace, order, and good government. Sorry, I would go to my friend from Lanark, Kingston Frontenac, who would appreciate that particular point, that it is, in fact, those small little things that we have to do. And so we have much to be proud of. And I would simply ask us to celebrate this incredible institution. And in so doing, by doing those small acts, we will continue to uphold our Canadian democracy and the very values that bind us together.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to my honourable friend from Scarborough Agincourt, I'm absolutely speechless at his words of praise, because he is also hold up the mirror to someone who is a shining example of parliamentary excellence. I had the great good fortune that when he was first elected at a by-election, he was seated right there. So we were neighbors. I often tell my constituents that, you know, the Liberals used to be so irrelevant, they had to sit with me. And I'm a long way from a lot of my old friends on that side of the House. But we never were far away. The member for Scarborough Agincourt, I want to thank him again, because I've thanked him privately, for a message he sent me when I was trying to decide if I should stay on as leader of my own party. And against all expectations the public might have of partisanship, his message to me meant the world to me. And it's one of the reasons that I stand here not just as the member for Saanich Gulf Islands, but as leader of the Green Party of Canada. And from the depth of my soul, I thank him, I thank Jean, I thank his family for all of the contributions he made and has made and will continue to make in this place and everywhere across Canada. His words should be etched in marble so we remember what it is that makes us Canadian is that we're willing to decide it's important to be kind. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Scarborough Agincourt.
Mr. Speaker, I will be brief. You simply know, the member simply knows in what esteem that I hold of him. I think simply the words that she has just said speak for themselves, and I will let them stand.